Well, hope you all had an enjoyable July 4th long weekend and back to the doldrums of day-to-day business once again. But certainly in the weather world, we are going to be talking about cooler times across the northeastern and eastern half of the country, all the while up across the northern Rockies and indeed the northern plains as well. We are going to be talking about some very major heat, even by July standards, in the coming week or so. So you can see here off the GFS ensemble. 500 millibar height anomalies. As I skip through the loop, you can see here the persistency and very strong high pressure and plenty of warmth associated with that high over the western half of the country. We've got, thickness values of nearly 600 decameters, which promotes very, very hot conditions underneath for all of the desert southwest, but also extending all the way up towards the Canadian border as well. So it is going to be a very hot next several days for the western half of the country, and we could be talking about 100s as far north as Montana here. All the while, we've got a trough drilling cooler, fresher conditions back in through the Great Lakes and into the northeast as well. And this is as we skip through next week. We should maintain a fairly cool, comfortable weather regime across the eastern half of the country, especially given the time of the year. We're going to be approaching the middle part of July, the heart of the summer, and certainly this will be welcome for people who don't want to have to pay the big bills for air conditioning, or simply just don't like the heat. This is certainly going to be a great pattern for you for the time being, at least anyway. But that heat will eventually transfer into the central portion of the country. We're going to ease back from well above normal to maybe slightly above or average across the desert southwest, but I think we are going to maintain a fairly hot July across this portion of the country. But you can see here as we skip towards the latter half of the week, we've got a very strong 594 high centered right over Nebraska and Kansas here. So we could be promoting temperatures, in the upper 90s, low 100s with this type of upper setup here. So that takes out to the end of the work week next week. So let's have a quick look at the 2 meter temperature anomalies and see exactly what we're dealing with here. Because I do think we are going to be talking about some very impressive temperatures, some of the hottest conditions in perhaps a few years, in fact, across portions of the northern plain states here. So you can see that here for the interior Pacific Northwest, above normal across the board here. But what we're going to see is we're going to expand that heat across the western half of the country and stacked up into the northern plain states, as you can see here, the northern Rockies. That's where your focus of hottest compared to normal will be. And all the while, as I showed you with the trough driving into the eastern half of the country, we're going to see significantly below normal temperatures. So quite the contrast between upstate New York and much of Montana. We could be talking about temperatures in the 70s for New York, while we could be talking about maybe near 110 in parts of Montana, with this particular hot spell here. So certainly it looks as if we're going to maintain through next week a cool, refreshing Great Lakes Northeast, warm over the Rockies and up into the northern Rockies, northern plain states here as we go forward here. So certainly it looks as if it's going to be a hot time, I think, for Montana. Wouldn't be surprised at the end of it all that we see one of the warmest Julys on record for the northern Rockies. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great Thursday, and I will be back hopefully in the next few days. Bye for now.